to Women's Sports Weekly, where women's sports happens every day, but we talk about it once a week. I'm Danielle.
And I'm Carolyn. Women's Sports Weekly is a podcast where we discuss the latest news, explore interesting stories, and share our love for women's sports. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Women's Sports Weekly Pod. Follow us and rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. What a weekend we had, Danielle.
I know, Seattle.
Would you live there?
I don't think I could do the rain, which we experienced a lot back in New Jersey. I think it's a beautiful city. I love how you can see the water and the mountains and get a mix of the city with nature. But I think the rain alone would keep me from moving there. And I seriously just love Denver.
You're a big Denver fan.
Yeah, but it was a great place to visit. The one thing I did love there that could be a reason I would live there is driving through downtown and seeing signs for Seattle Storm or the rain and seeing murals on the wall. We got a picture with the Sue Bird mural and just Seattle Storm players. Denver does not have a women's sports team, so that is my biggest thing that upsets me about Denver, and I thought that was really cool about Seattle.
I loved Seattle. I've been there before, and I just really, really love the city. The thing that I miss most about the East Coast is water, and Seattle has water, which I just love. I just love being near water. It's not even that I need to be necessarily in it, although I do love to swim. I just love seeing the expansiveness of water. And then the thing that I least like about the East Coast is rain, and Seattle has a lot of rain.
Unfortunately. But it was still a great place. I would highly recommend to visit if you can. Really cool, and just traveling to a new city in general is always fun.
And speaking of rain, let's talk about a different kind of rain, the Seattle rain versus San Diego wave, which is NWSL soccer.
I, of course, was excited to see some of the national team players on San Diego Wave, and most of them were hurt. Yeah. So that was really unfortunate. But overall, the game was really cool, and I'm really glad we won.
Likewise. So we went with a couple of friends from college, live in Seattle, from South Carolina. Live in Seattle, so we were with them and their partners, which was a lot of fun. The game was held at Lumen Field, which is the football field. It is very big, which was probably my only complaint. I like when soccer stadiums are a little bit smaller because naturally football stadiums just hold a lot of people, so they had to block some of the areas off. I just feel like if it was at a smaller venue, it would feel like there were a lot more people there, because there were a decent amount of people, but it felt a little bit more empty because the football stadium is so big. However, I understand why they do it, because the football stadium is so centrally located within Seattle. It was so easy to get to, which I really appreciated. For San Diego Wave, we were very excited to see them play. They have a bunch of U.S. women's national team players. However, Alex Morgan, Abby Dahlkemper, and Naomi Yerma for the Seattle Wave did not play. I don't even think they traveled.
I don't think so either.
And Jaden Shaw, who does play on the U.S. women's national team and also plays on the Wave, did not start, although she came in later in the game. We still saw really top-notch, really good soccer.
For sure.
For the rain, I was also very excited because the U.S. has been playing Canada so much. I was like, great, we're going to see some Canadian players as well. Quinn plays on the team, Jordan Heitzema, and both of them were also out.
The goalie.
Oh, yes, and the goalie who was
the goalie from the national team. So it was cool to see her live.
Kaylin Sheridan, who plays for the Canadian national team, does play for San Diego Wave, and she was there. So it was cool to see her.
Yes.
Okay, so we get to the game. As we're walking in, we are a little bit late because we had a really good dinner. And by a little bit late, I mean we're 5 minutes late into the game. Less than 10 minutes into the game, Ziara King committed a foul, and it went straight to a red card. Because she made contact with the defender's face on the Wave, they gave her a red card, and less than 10 minutes into the game, Seattle Reign is already down to 10 players.
That's a rough start, and we were still walking through the stadium after you had bought your Seattle Reign t-shirt, so we did see it on TV, but I didn't think when I saw it, I couldn't believe that was a red card. I was just shocked.
Seattle Reign's been having a rough season. This is just going to be, I was like, we're in for a bloodbath.
They only had one win going into the game.
Luckily, that wasn't the case. So Ziara King gets the red card. She comes off the field shortly after. San Diego Wave forward Kira Carusa scores. 1-0 San Diego Wave. And I was like, okay, here we go. However, in the 34th minute, Bethany Balcer, who plays for the Seattle Reign, put some pressure on the San Diego Wave goalkeeper. We already mentioned her, Kaylin Sheridan. And Bethany Balcer gets the ball inside the box, scores 1-1 equalizer in the 34th minute.
Surprisingly, a big mistake by Kaylin Sheridan. I was not expecting to see that, but it happens. Mistakes happen, and Bethany was on it. So that was a big goal for them.
We head into halftime. It's 1-1. There were 3 yellow cards on top of the red card.
I think that ref just really enjoyed giving out cards.
3 yellow cards in the first half. And I've heard professional soccer players talk about this before, where they kind of know the referee that they're getting. And I remember this in softball too. You see a certain umpire walk up and you're like, shoot, there's going to be this type of call. Or in softball, it would be like, they love the outside ball, or they're not going to call one strike ever. This is just going to be a game full of walks. And I think it is true that sometimes you see a referee show up to a soccer game and you're like, cool, I can't touch anyone, or everyone's getting a card.
I had that growing up. There was one guy, he would ref all the sports, and whenever...
Did he look like Ross from Friends?
Yep. Yep.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Not stand this guy. Ruined my day when I would see him before the game, and it was really messed with my head. I can't imagine.
He did soccer too?
He did everything. He definitely did basketball and softball.
Oh my gosh, that's
maybe
so funny.
not soccer, but he did basketball and softball, and I've had him in many games in my time.
My sister still coaches in North Jersey. I need to ask her if he's still around.
Yep.
So you saw him coming up and you were like, oh no.
Oh, always. It was always his face. I was like, great.
Can't wait. All right, so we get back into the second half of the Seattle Reign San Diego Wave game, and the goalkeeper for the Seattle Reign had an amazing game.
She was unbelievable. The amount of saves she made, the kind of saves she made. Her and the team were just laughing at the end of the game, and not laughing because they were in a make fun kind of way. It was just like, I just had one of the best games of my life kind of way, and her team was fired up for her, which was really cool.
Her name is Laurel Ivory. She finished the match with 5 saves. She set a single game career high for herself. She was so entertaining to watch because things were just bouncing off of her. She was getting back up again, making double saves, which is always just fun.
I was ready to buy her kit after the game after watching it. I didn't see it in the store, but I was ready to buy it. And she doesn't look that big compared to the other players.
Tiny.
She seems tiny, which I was surprised about.
Veronica Latsko for the Seattle Reign came onto the field as a sub in the 52nd minute of the match and scored the game-winning goal. From the left side of the field, Reign midfielder Ji So-yeon, who also came in as a sub, served a ball into the box. It was perfect. It perfectly found the head of Veronica Latsko.
Such a good ball.
I feel like if I were to give a visual for it, it was like the Little Mermaid coming out of the water and throwing her head back. That was how Veronica Latsko
how she hit the ball with her head.
Hit the ball with her head, and it went backwards into the back.
She really
corner.
had to crank her neck. We watched that replay quite a few times. I was like, I have no idea how she did that.
A great use of subs. I mean, to have 2 subs come in and one to serve the assist and the other one to score a goal. From the red card, they're playing with 10 players this whole time. And so San Diego was really had the ball the most of the match, but they made the most of it on the attack and ended up winning this game 2-1, down to 10 players. Actually, towards the end of the game, San Diego Wave also got a red card. But
yes.
there were seconds left in the game, which is very unfortunate. Interesting refereeing happening.
Yeah.
Seattle Reign comes up on top 2-1.
Second win of the season. The fans were going crazy. So it was just really nice to see a lot of people who were there, obviously, for the game, who were fans. When we were out to eat before the game, we saw a lot of people dressed in the Seattle Reign gear. And I just love that about sports. So I'm glad I got to experience that.
What was your favorite part of the Seattle trip?
That's a tough one. For me, obviously the game was a big piece. It's really just exploring different neighborhoods, seeing how people live somewhere and what they do and what they like. That's just usually my favorite part about visiting a new place. How about you?
We visited the University of Washington campus.
Oh, yes.
So cool.
Already forgot about that. I was walking around campus thinking, I'm walking where Kelsey Plum walked.
And so we went with our 2 friends, and both their partners actually went to UW. And so they knew exactly where to take us. And it was great.
Beautiful campus.
It's so beautiful. So that was a personal fave. And then, you know me, I just wanted to spend time with my friends. I was like, I don't care what we do. I just want to get some time with you all. And we ended up playing a board game Saturday night, and that there's nothing better to me than getting that time to spend with them. So it was really fun. All right. I also want to highlight beach volleyball NCAA championships. They happened this past Sunday. University of Southern California won a 4-peat. This is their 4th national championship in a row.
Incredible.
For beach volleyball. It's
like UConn of basketball back in the day when they did a 4-peat.
USC won the program's 7th national title. USC was the number 1 seed. They were playing UCLA number 2. USC beat them 3-0. And if you're like me and you're like, what does 3-0 mean in beach volleyball? I'm going to explain it to you. NCAA beach volleyball competition is played in pairs with 10 student athletes split into 5 pairs. 5 pairs play for each team. It's a 2v2 matchup, which means every athlete has to be very good at everything. In regular volleyball, indoor volleyball, indoor volleyball, you have a setter, you have a libero, you have a hitter. Mm-hmm. And in beach volleyball, you really have to be able to do all those things because it's just you and one other person.
In the sand.
In the sand.
Just to make it a little harder.
I can't even walk in the sand. When they play, since they're playing in pairs, there's 5 games going on at once. Each pair is playing a best of 3 matchup of sets. Of the 5 pairs, they're all trying to win so that they can win best out of 5. But when they're playing the other team, they're playing best out of 3 sets to win their pairing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Each set is played to 21 points instead of the 25 for indoor, and the team must win by at least 2 points. If the sets after the first 2 are 1-1, then they go into a third set that's only played to 15, again, where the winner must win by at least 2 points, and beach volleyball is rally scoring. USC was playing 5 matches against UCLA, and their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th matches. So they rank. You have your 1 players playing their 1 players, your 2 players playing their 2 players, 3 players, so on. Their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th match is 1 out of the 5, which is why I was saying they won 3-0. But within those, they won 2 sets out of 3. What I also thought was interesting, all 5 are playing at the same time, but because 2, 3, and 4 ended early and they won, and it would have been impossible for UCLA to come back, even if they won the other 2, they just stop those matches. So the people playing there just don't play anymore. And they're like, you won a national championship. And they're like, great, I'm in the middle of my set, but yay.
Oh, that would kind of be a bummer.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Not a bummer that you found out you won, but just not to finish your own match that you were playing.
USC brings home their 38th national championship, won by a women's team. So not only in beach volleyball. It is also the 136th national title won by any USC team. And just want to call out a couple players. There are twins who play, and they play together.
Very cool.
Could you competitively play with your sisters and have them on your team?
I would like to think so. We would probably kill each other at some points. And I'm sure all siblings probably feel that way. You just have to find your groove to make sure you're on the same page and not going at each other.
Could you imagine my sister and I being on the same team playing? Because you've seen us play softball together, but there's more people on the team.
I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you think?
There's no way.
Yeah.
My sister's, she's older. She's 4 years older than me.
I think that's the thing. And that's where with my sisters being the oldest, you naturally just go at them a little harder, where I think there's something different about twins.
That's true.
I really do.
I feel like if I was playing beach volleyball with Allie, I would just be crying a lot. She'd just be...
You think you could play with me?
I think I could play with you. I do a lot better when I play with you rather than when I play against you.
Yeah, because you know you're going to win.
Oh,
with me, I should say. You know you're going to lose against me.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
We were playing a board game over this past weekend, and my only goal was to beat Danielle, and I didn't.
And did you?
No, I did not. And so, yes, I would love to be on your team because I feel like we get along better in that case. And you're very supportive of me. I feel like I may annoy you with me being overly positive to you.
I don't think so. I don't know. I guess we'll have to try it out one day.
And I guess when we play Polish horseshoes, we're not...
Yeah, I don't think I get annoyed with you at all.
Yeah, and I suck at Polish horseshoes. I can't catch.
No, you don't.
I can't catch. I can throw a frisbee. I can't catch it when it hits the bottle. Back to USC women's volleyball, beach volleyball. They have a pair of twins who play on the team. Their names are Audrey and Nicole Norse. They were the ones who delivered the final blow to UCLA in that number 3 position with a 3-set win over UCLA's Kenzie Brower and Jessie Smith. The victory made the twins overall 32-7 to conclude include their season, all time playing together as twins, they're 123 and 23.
Wow. That's
to get to do that with
record.
your sister, there is that part that I would just love to have that with my sister would be so cool.
And as parents, that has to be really cool. I hope if we decide to have kids that something like that would be awesome. Not saying we need twins, but if we had kids playing together in something and just being able to see that together would be really fun.
The parents don't have to go to 2 different schools, so that's always a plus as well. They play in Alabama on the beach, and when they win, they run into the water, the ocean, which I love. Which cheerleading national championship, they do that as well. They run into the water.
That probably feels really good too.
Oh my gosh. That sounds like a dream. Congratulations, University of Southern California beach volleyball. Very, very cool. As promised, after last week's news that Candace Parker was retiring from the WNBA, we want to deep dive into her career. So Danielle, I know how you feel about Candace Parker, but give us some facts, some details. Tell us about her.
If you've heard the podcast before, you have likely heard me talk about Candace Parker and how much I am a fan of hers. I grew up watching Tennessee. Candace Parker and Pat Summitt were the reasons that I love Tennessee. When I look at Pat Summitt and when I look at Candace Parker, I just think of greatness. The way they interacted with each other and the stories of them as a coach-player relationship, I just really looked up to that. Just have been a fan of Candace Parker for a long time. She was playing at University of Tennessee when I was in high school. Painted my bedroom orange and blue for Tennessee colors. I had all these things Tennessee.
When I met you, your room was still those colors.
Yes, I never painted over it until my sister eventually took over the room. Everything was Tennessee in my room back in high school. I would say it was a bit of an obsession, which might be embarrassing, but don't care because that's how much I enjoyed it.
1, it's very cool to have interest. And 2, I always say this about you, but what I love most about you is that you don't care what other people think about things that you like. You are not affected by that. And I mean that as a total compliment. I wish I had more of that in me, of when you like something, you just are like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it somehow seems uncool, even though being a Tennessee basketball fan is not an uncool thing.
No, I don't mean being a fan uncool, just like how decked out my room was. To the point where I even had Tennessee shoes. Okay, I had 2 pairs of shoes. One had the Tennessee T on it. They were white and orange with the T for Tennessee.
Wow, I've never seen those.
Yep. I got rid of them both. I'm very upset by it. And then
I remember getting rid of the other ones.
The other ones I created. You can make your own Nike Air Force Ones. They were low tops and they were orange and blue and white for Tennessee colors.
When I met you 9 years ago, you still had those.
Yep. And orange is still my favorite color to this day. Back to Candace Parker. So once again, went to Tennessee, was an unbelievable player, and just going to start with her college career because while her WNBA career was amazing, have to give her flowers for her collegiate career. She got to the University of Tennessee in 2004 and ended up redshirting her first year due to a knee injury.
Which is scary. To come in your freshman year and to immediately get hurt.
Yes.
Yikes.
Not a good start. Then following year, 2005 to 2006, was her true freshman year after redshirting the first year at Tennessee. In 2006, she became the first woman to ever dunk in an NCAA tournament game. If she wasn't already on the map, people were definitely talking about that when that happened.
And this is 2006. I just want to...
Yes.
And
almost 20 years ago.
Women had dunked before this, but
Correct.
the first one in an NCAA tournament game. So when people say that women don't dunk, it was already happening.
Another interesting thing, she was listed on the roster as a forward, a center, and a guard.
Just wherever you
need her. So
she's
6'4", and I remember always thinking when I would watch her, she was really mostly the point guard, but she could play any position. But I was always amazed at her ball handling skills at 6'4". In 2006, she won SEC Rookie of the Year, and she became the fastest lady volunteer to score 1,000 career points in just 56 games. She won SEC Player of the Year after her sophomore season in 2007 and led the Lady Vols to back-to-back national championships in 2007 and 2008 and was named MVP for both.
I also am getting really tripped up on this Lady Vols because
that's how they refer to them now.
It's so weird. So when I was in college, they were still calling the Gamecocks the Lady Gamecocks, which is like such a.
I feel like at Tennessee, it's still very much a thing, though. Like
I
they
know.
say the Lady Vols.
I know. Okay.
I can stop saying it.
No, you don't need to stop saying it. I'm just like, ooh, okay, why are we doing that? But they're still doing it. We're going to call them by the name that they're called.
Throughout her entire collegiate career, she averaged 19.4 points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1.9 steals, and 2.4 blocks per game.
This
was
so
throughout her
versatile.
entire career. All-around player. She actually decided to forego her final year of eligibility at Tennessee. So she redshirted a year and then only really played for 3 seasons.
Hold on. I did not know that.
The reason being is she wanted to focus on the 2008 Olympics and pursue a professional career. So she could have played one more year at Tennessee.
But she already had 2 national championships under her belt.
So she decided it was her time to go professional. She went number 1 in the WNBA draft and was drafted to the LA Sparks in 2008, one day after winning her second national championship. So this year it was crazy because we're like, oh my gosh, in a week they're going to be drafted. One day later, she wins a national championship. The next day, she's going number 1 in the WNBA draft.
If you can right now, you need to Google her draft outfit because she had that all white suit on, right? And I think I remember hearing an interview where she was like, I was so excited about this all white suit. It's like looking back at your prom pictures and you just, I thought I was the shit in my prom dress. And 20 years from now, I'm going to be like,
nothing really
what
ages well.
the heck? Even now, I'm like, what the heck? But
yeah. So that brings us to her WNBA career. She played in the WNBA for 16 years. Unfortunately for her, similar to how she started out her collegiate career, she did undergo quite a few injuries throughout her WNBA career. Her first WNBA game was against the Phoenix Mercury. Just casually, Candace Parker dropped 34 points, 12 rebounds, and had 8 assists. This broke Cynthia Cooper's previous rookie record in a debut game. She came out hot her rookie season. Also, during her rookie season, she became the first player to dunk twice during their WNBA career.
Okay, so pause. I want to talk about this. When we talk about the Caitlin Clark effect, what she's doing right now, and all these added eyes on the WNBA, I think it is amazing. And I think it's time for this to happen. And it's way overdue.
Yes.
It's not because Caitlin Clark is just good. Because we had players who were just good, and you're seeing them when you're talking about these stats, and it didn't happen. So a lot of things had to come into place for Caitlin Clark to be this person who's kind of bringing everyone forward, and a lot of the rookies that are coming into this WNBA season. I just don't want people to think that there were no good players before Caitlin Clark. Candace Parker was doing the work, and there's so many players like that. So when you hear some of the older WNBA vets kind of get a little chippy, I think I can understand a little bit why, because they were all the best and no one cared. Things had to come together in a very specific way. Unfortunately, it's taken us till 2024 to get here, and we hope it continues. Just know that there's always been these standout players.
For sure. Parker became the first WNBA player to win Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player in the same year. And they didn't even win a championship that year.
Whoa.
So she was MVP for the season and Rookie of the Year,
Wow.
and they did not win a championship that year. To top that all off, she happened to be pregnant with her oldest daughter, Lila, at the end of the season. I don't know at what point she realized she was pregnant, but during her rookie season, she became pregnant with her oldest daughter. She talks about it now. When she looks back at pictures at the end of that season, she was like, that was you and me.
Their relationship is so special. And after she won one of her championships, she always does this, but she goes right over to her daughter first.
Yep, right over and brings her on the court.
But can you imagine getting through your rookie year and then finding out you're pregnant? I would be scared.
I know.
I would be like, what does this mean for me?
From 2009 to 2011, she had to miss games in every one of those seasons. First, she missed a few games because of maternity leave. She was just coming back. And then she suffered from some injuries. Yep. So that was right after her rookie year. She had this 2-year stint where she was having issues. 2013, she wins another MVP award. That will then bring us to 2016. She's named Finals MVP when she led the Sparks to their 3rd ever title.
Okay, so it took her 8 years, right?
Yep.
She started in 2008 and then got her first title in 2016.
Correct. In 2021, she decided she wanted to go to the Chicago Sky and ended up winning her second WNBA WNBA championship. And this was Chicago's first ever franchise championship. A few things I want to go back to. When she was ending her time with the LA Sparks, I don't know if you remember this. We would watch some games and that coach at the time would be benching her. Yeah. I just remember watching the games being like, what is going on over there? She would be playing so well and then all of a sudden she'd be on the bench. You could tell they would go at each other a little bit and she just did not look happy. So when she went over to Chicago Sky, that did not surprise me at all. I remember being happy she was leaving the Sparks because I was like, that was not a right fit. When she won at Chicago Sky, we were watching that series and I just remember how electric it was. And she grew up in Illinois, so this was like a coming home for her. I think people were really happy to have her back in Chicago, for her to bring them their first ever title. I just remember watching those games and seeing the emotion on her face and the teams, and I just really remember that being super special a few years ago. So now 2023, I feel like when we talk about 16 years and when you break it down by these stats, it just feels like such a short career. But 16 years is a long time to play in the W. It's just with injuries and stuff, it just does not seem as long as it truly was. But in 2023, she decided to move teams again and went to the Las Vegas Aces, and unfortunately was injured in that season and missed a lot of the season. Ended up having to get surgery on her foot last year. She did obtain her third WNBA championship with the Aces last year. Unfortunately couldn't play due to her foot. And this is kind of where I remember thinking, is she going to be back? Is she not? She said she was coming back. So a few weeks ago when she announced she wasn't, I get it. And of course, I'm just sad because I really, really was hoping to see her play one more season. So a few more things just to share about her. Her 3 WNBA championships that I talked about. She's the only WNBA player to win a title with 3 different teams. So again, she led the LA Sparks back in 2016. She brought the title to her hometown, Chicago Sky, in 2021, and then won the trophy with the Las Vegas Aces last season as well. 2 MVP awards throughout her career, 2 Olympic gold medals, and 2 NCAA national championships at Tennessee. When thinking about playoffs, so I saw these stats come up and I'm like, we talked about earlier, wow, her stat line in her collegiate career is just so versatile. I'm going to list off some stats right now. Candace Parker is the only player to have met all of these stats in all these categories at these numbers in the playoffs. 250 assists. Only 6 players have reached that. 1,000 playoff points. 5 players have reached that. 500 rebounds. 4 players have reached that. 100 blocks. 3 players. 100 steals. 2 players. Again, Candace Parker is the only player to have stats in all of those categories at those numbers in playoff games. Overall, an incredible career. Going to miss watching her play, but I know we will see her doing other things with the league.
So in her retirement, what are some things she is getting into now?
I'm sure there's a lot more than she revealed as of now, but as you know, she is already a sports analyst, works a lot with the NBA, and I'm really hoping now that she won't be playing on the WNBA, that she'll be one of the analysts for the WNBA, because I would love to still see her in action and part of it. She also made mention that she plans to own an NBA and WNBA team. I was excited when I saw that. She also said her mission in life is what she learned from Pat Summitt: to chase people and passions, and you will never fail. I just love that because I know how close her relationship with Pat Summitt was. I remember obviously watching her play and seeing that relationship on the screen, and I know she had even talked about, I believe it was her Chicago Sky season when they won the championship there, that she dedicated it to Pat Summitt that year, and just know that meant a lot to her and was really emotional. So I love that she leans into that mission that came from Pat.
She is already part owner of Angel City FC, a football club based in LA, which is part of the National Women's Soccer League. I can't wait to see her ownership expand. I can't wait. I really enjoy that athletes are taking their retirement and creating a whole different career for themselves, and to see what they do with it. I'm glad she's still going to be part of our lives and still part of yours.
I know. And she also mentioned spending time with family is going to be really important.
And she
has her older daughter, she has her younger son, and her wife have a 3rd child on the way. So that's going to keep their hands full, I'm sure, as well.
If people want to learn more personal information about her, can you share some information about the documentary?
There's a documentary called Unapologetic, and I believe it's streaming on Hulu, but definitely a great documentary to learn more about Candace Parker. It really starts from the beginning of her life and goes through to current. So I really enjoyed watching that and even learned more myself. It's a great documentary.
Now for the moment we've all been waiting for.
This is where Candace Parker retiring early is also hurting me, because I thought I was going to get away with not having to ever read this note, and I honestly regret even telling you about it.
Well, we're here, and if you've been a listener to the pod from the very beginning, you know that one, Danielle loves Candace Parker, and you know two, that she wrote her a letter, a Facebook message when she was younger, and she agreed that when Candace Parker retired, she would read that letter aloud on our podcast. So Danielle, please tell us when you wrote this letter. What was the date?
I was a sophomore in high school to begin with. Not embarrassing at all. It was sent February 11th, 2008 at 6:12 p.m.
Start it off for us.
Well, here we go. Hey, I'm watching you play Rutgers right now. Exclamation, 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 exclamation.
No, why so many?
I don't know. I am not crazy, but I am a sophomore in high school.
Of course not.
And I just wanted you to know that you are my idol. Another 4 exclamation points.
4 more.
Yep. I hope your knee is feeling better, and I love watching you play, ... I'm going to write you a letter soon, and I really hope you get it. Exclamation point.
Did you write her a personal letter?
I do not remember. I do remember creating reports on her. I doubt I sent them to her. Maybe I wrote the letter. Not really sure, but I said I was going to. Oh, and I'm also doing a report on you for graphic design. We have to write an article like a magazine! Exclamation, exclamation. I have also done other school projects about you! Exclamation. Once again, I really hope you don't think I'm crazy, but I've been wanting to write something to you in so long, but I was pretty intimidated. LOL. ... Okay, I'm going to go watch the game now. Halftime is almost over. ... Good luck, and I really hope you get this.
That is so sweet. How does it feel to read it out loud?
Like I said, just slightly embarrassing. I was looking at her Facebook profile when I pulled this back up, and it's pretty much non-existent. No photos, very private. I wouldn't be surprised if she just deleted it. But I came across the cancel friend request button, so I guess I also sent her a friend request that night back in 2008.
And she didn't accept it.
No, and my message just says sent. It doesn't say read, so I don't even know if she ever read the
I'm sure
message.
She did.
Yeah, she probably thought, wow, this girl is psycho.
No. I mean, the fact that you had to say multiple times that you weren't crazy probably indicated that maybe it was a little bit, but I appreciate the fandom. I would be so honored to receive a message where someone was so complimentary of me and wishing me good luck on my knee injury. That is so sweet.
And when I think about high school kids now, I'm like, they're just kids. So I have to give myself some grace there.
Yes.
I would reach out to Candace Parker again and word it slightly differently.
What would you say now?
Maybe we can invite her on the pod and get to know her a little more.
Ooh, what a dream. Your invitation is out there, Candace Parker. We hope this gets to you more than Danielle's message on Facebook did. Accept our friend request. Come be on the pod. Love to interview you. What would you ask her?
I think I would stick to asking questions about her collegiate career because, like I said, that was kind of my intro to Tennessee, to Pat Summitt, and their bond together. And I just feel like it would be reminiscent to go back and ask her more questions about that and just really get to know her more.
I would want to ask all the personal questions. I would be like, none of this needs to go on the podcast, but I just want to know every tiny little detail.
Yeah. And meeting her for the 30 seconds that we didn't really allow for that. So maybe one day we'll get to meet her again.
To give her all the credit in the world, she was so incredibly gracious when we met her, and whenever you meet a hero, it can go one of two ways, and she was just so incredibly nice in the limited time we had with her, which was really great. Any parting words for Candace as she heads off into retirement? What do you want to send her away with?
I would say just thank you for everything you've done for the game of basketball and continue to do. I think her presence in the basketball world is unmatched. I think she was the start of greatness during that time, almost 20 years ago she was in college, and honestly just thank you for what she's done for the sport and continues to do. That would be my main message.
I love it. We love you, Candace Parker. Congratulations on your retirement. Can't wait to see what's next.
All right, Carolyn, now we want to talk about what we are looking forward to this week. So what do you have?
Coming up this week is more college softball. On Saturday, May 11th, conference play in softball wraps up. So there are a bunch of games happening. However, Saturday is going to be the championship. So at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the ACC wraps up on ACC Network. At 5 p.m. Eastern Time, the SEC wraps up on ESPN2. And at 10 p.m. Eastern, the Pac-12 wraps up on ESPN2. When we talked about March Madness, we said, who are the teams getting hot right now? Oklahoma State started off a little bit rocky. They just beat Oklahoma at Oklahoma for the series 2-1. You want to know who's getting hot right now before they do their selection show on Sunday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The selection show is going to broadcast on ESPN2. Regional action begins later that week on May 16th. And then the tournament begins. The 2024 College World Series, Women's College World Series starts on May 30th in Oklahoma City. Watch on Saturday, May 11th. Watch the conference play. It gets so fun, so interesting. Yep. And then you'll know as we get into regional, super regionals in the Women's College World Series, who's hot at the moment. What are you looking forward to this week, Dee?
Like softball, women's lacrosse tournament is around the corner. Selection Sunday is actually happening. So by the time this airs, the bracket will be available. So if you're listening to this and interested in checking out the lacrosse bracket, take a look. The first round of games begins this Friday, May 10th. So there's going to be a lot of games played on Friday. You can check those out on ESPN Plus.
So we've been talking a lot about Boston College, about Syracuse, Northwestern. Do you have a team that you're interested in?
I'm very interested in Boston College, just given the amount I've gotten to see them play, and I'm starting to recognize some of their names at a proximity. University of Denver is very good, which is right around the corner from us.
Like literally down the street.
I know. I'm bummed we haven't seen them play this year. We'll have to go next year, but they're currently ranked number 14. So I'm really hoping they can make a run throughout the tournament. So I'll be cheering them on as well.
We've got softball. We got lacrosse. Professional Women's Hockey League. They start on May 8th, their playoffs. It is a fun time.
With all this other stuff, we didn't even mention the fact that WNBA preseason has begun. WNBA games are happening right now, preseason games. Plug for League Pass. So League Pass, most pro sports have this. WNBA, $35 for the entire season. $35. Yes. If you want games that aren't nationally aired on television, you can get extra access through League Pass. Highly recommend putting some money down to help the league. $35 for the pass. I know we have our pass.
And if you're a student for League Pass, WNBA League Pass, it's only $20 for the year. So just a little plug there. We'll get back into WNBA talk next week because the season's going to start in a week. So much good women's sports. Don't stop watching. So that is it for this week. We will see you next week on Women's Sports Weekly. In the meantime, watch women's sports, rate and subscribe to the pod on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. Share the podcast with your friends. Share it with your family. Tell your coworkers about us. The more eyes we can get on our podcast, the longer we'll be able to do this. So please tell everyone who might even have an inkling that they might be interested in women's sports. Keep sending us topics you want us to cover on Instagram at Women's Sports Weekly Pod. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Yes, hit that follow button.